All right. Boy, we have got a real crowd on tonight. We're going to get started here in just a moment. Well, I do want to welcome everyone to this program about our LAMP series. We've got Chris Weedman and Russell Stowers are going to be talking to us today about uh, those programs and how to figure out what's right for you. The first thing I want to mention is that we are going to try to take some questions, but I'm going to ask you to put your questions in the chat and we'll get to them at the end and we'll answer as many as we can in the time that we have. So if you've got specific questions as we go along, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on that. And with that, I will pass it over to Chris, who will start out with our introductions.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Heather. And my name is Chris Weedman. As of this month, I'm the former chair of the LAMP Leadership Committee, which is just one part of the overall LAMP group within the Academy of Leadership and Innovation with the APTA. I'm happy to be joined by Russell Stowers. Russ is he is the chair of the of LAMP Management, which is the other component of the LAMP organization within the Academy. And so what we're going to do is this is a just kind of a very short introduction to the different products that the LAMP organization offers. And to kind of help potential participants and interested parties understand what might be some of the similarities, what's the mindset between the two, but I think more importantly, why do we offer these two seemingly linked yet different course offerings within the LAMP organization, within the Academy? So I will obviously leave Russell to talk about LAMP management because that is his area of expertise. So I'll briefly introduce you to why we have kind of the two different schools, the School of Management and the LAMP Leadership Institute, and then give you specific information on the leadership end of that continuum. So one question that I know I get a lot when people ask me about LAMP in general is why the two different schools, or why the LAMP Leadership Institute and why the School of Management. Because I think oftentimes, regardless of what job maybe we work or role we play within an organization or within the APTA or wherever it might be, it's very, very common to kind of combine or even confuse management and leadership and to think of them as one and the same. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that it's pretty unusual for any job or any role that we might hold to be exclusively a leadership or exclusively a management role, right? Oftentimes, regardless of where we're working, where we're practicing, what role maybe we play in something like the APTA or other professional organizations, there's usually components of both, leadership and management. So it's pretty unusual for a role to have both. However, from strictly from a teaching and learning standpoint, leadership and management are in fact two different constructs. Okay, and we in LAMP we like to think of them. Yes, they're sometimes they overlap. Oftentimes they're linked. Oftentimes they exist on a continuum. But in terms of offering training and offering instruction and offering different products out to our healthcare providers and to the community, we keep them separate because theoretically they are separate. And we want to provide, good products that are, theoretically consistent with that. So that's kind of the basic background of why we offer separate School of Management and a LAMP Leadership Institute, even though oftentimes in real life, we're using a combination and an overlapping set of skills and behaviors. So I'll talk to you all briefly, just about at least the LAMP leadership end of that continuum and what we offer in terms of courses and what the focus of this coursework is. So, one thing that I say before I get into the specific two course series that we have, on the LAMP leadership end of things, we tend to focus a little less on definitive skill acquisition in terms of being a leader, and more on the development of leadership behaviors, and examining what our behaviors are, what behaviors maybe we need that we can use that are strengths of ours, but also what leadership behaviors maybe do I need to develop to better develop myself as a leader, and the mentality behind taking this behavior-based approach to our leadership coursework is so that participants can develop themselves as leaders regardless of what maybe their job title is, regardless of maybe what their role is or where they sit in some kind of a organizational hierarchy. So fundamental to at least the LAMP leadership end of that continuum is that healthcare providers can be and act like leaders, and probably should act like leaders regardless of where they're functioning, what their job title is, and what their role is, anywhere from being a frontline care provider all the way up to a CEO. And so that is the approach that we take in the LAMP leadership course series. The course series consists of two main courses called LAMP Leadership 101 and LAMP Leadership 201. Now, I first took LAMP 101 in 2020, and at that point, I had already served in various leadership or management positions at different levels of healthcare organizations for 13 years. And so, to be honest with you, I had never heard of LAMP leadership until about 2 months before I signed up for the course. But what sold me on it when I took the course, what convinced me I wanted to move on to 201, and what actually convinced me that I wanted to be part of the committee and part of the organization, was what I felt was a little bit of a unique approach compared to a lot of the leadership training that I had taken in those 13 years prior. So I don't know about the rest of you, but when I first took my first leadership position, a lot of they sent me to a lot of courses. Some were offered internally, some were offered external to my organization. But one common theme amongst all of them was they immediately focused on different skill sets or different behaviors you needed to lead other people, and that was good. What I found was unique, and what really kind of hooked me on the LAMP leadership program, was that in the LAMP 101 course, we kind of flipped that script around of how things are usually presented to leaders. And in 101, we focus on you. Um, and kind of, I mean, to put it in a very small nutshell, our the approach that we bring is that you need to be able to lead and understand yourself, and to do that effectively before you can expect to effectively lead other people and other teams and organizations, and whatever level of leadership you might be operating on. So the LAMP Leadership 101 course is actually focused a lot on self-assessment. And we use a very strong emotional intelligence framework in that course. And most people nowadays are at least peripherally aware of emotional intelligence, but kind of the first stage in emotional intelligence is self-awareness. And then the second stage of that is self-regulation. And in the emotional intelligence continuum, you have to be able to be aware of yourself, aware of your strengths, maybe aware of some of your areas for improvement, and also aware of what are maybe your instinctive and knee-jerk responses to different situations you might find yourself in from a leadership perspective at anywhere in the continuum of care that you practice. And so 101 has a very strong focus on self-assessment and really taking a deep dive into what are some of your typical behaviors? What are those knee-jerk reactions? How do you respond to different situations you might face when serving in a leadership role? And then also taking a deep dive into what are areas in terms of your own behaviors, your own responses, your own viewpoint on things that you might need to work to improve. And in doing so, becoming better at regulating your own response to leadership situations, leadership challenges, stressful situations, and the like. And that is really the focus of 101, is leading kind of within yourself. And from there, then in our second in the course series is LAMP Leadership 201. And LAMP Leadership 201 is where we begin to build on those skills of self-awareness, and self-regulation, and begin to then apply them to, okay, if I can improve and get better at my self-awareness, my self-regulation, then I'm going to have greater capacity to look outward and look at the needs of my team, the needs of maybe my patient, if that's the leadership role that you're in, in direct patient care, the needs of my organization, whatever your leadership context may be. 201 then begins to focus on, okay, what behaviors do I need to develop to better be able to both, be aware of and receive and be mindful of what my teams need, and then what skills and behaviors are necessary to move forward in developing those teams, helping those teams manage change, how to engage in mindful communications, in particular active, and even moving to a level of what we call empathetic listening, and a variety of other skills that we can bring to bear uh, when moving into those upper echelons of emotional intelligence, which is that social awareness, and then that social regulation. So, in an extremely small nutshell, that's the LAMP Leadership 101 and 201 course continuum. And then the final piece of that, we do offer LAMP 301. LAMP 301, in its current iteration anyway, is actually not a course. It's kind of a final summative project and it's totally voluntary. You don't have to take. If you take 101, you don't have to take 201. If you take 201, you don't have to go on to 301. But if you choose to, 301 is a little bit more of a structured implementation. So taking the skills and the behavior-based changes that you've worked on in 101, 201, and actually applying them to a real life situation, culminating in a certificate of completion. It's probably worth mentioning that we are actually in the LAMP Leadership Committee in the process of rebooting that, and actually working within the next year towards developing that into an actual full certificate of healthcare leadership when you complete that. So I'm in charge of that working group at this time. We've just kind of started that in the last few months, but we're hoping to be getting to some kind of a new product in that 301 by the end of the year. So that is my end of things. So I'm going to now shift the pendulum to the other side of that continuum, and I'll turn it over to Russ.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm losing my voice today, so if I need to drink some water, I'll have to stop for a second. So yeah, thanks, Chris, for doing the introduction, and I really like what you said about leadership being the behaviors. The management side is really the skills that are needed to implement those behaviors in any kind of leadership position in a healthcare setting. So I'd like to, think about, any healthcare leader that, not necessarily just physical therapy, would need these skills to be an effective leader in any setting, at any level of leadership. So lead therapist, all the way to CEOs of large healthcare systems. So LAMP management essentially is the skills needed to be a frontline manager leader in any healthcare setting. And again, not just physical therapy, because these are not just physical therapy skills. These are management and leadership skills. So our LAMP management product essentially is two courses that are 6 weeks in length. One is called Management Essentials, and we used to do that virtual in person at CSM, and now we've moved to a virtual environment. Now, stepping back a little bit, how did we come to this? So we started back in 2015 having these discussions, like, really APTA therapists in general need to move into more leadership positions. I work at a large healthcare system, and I can tell you that 90% of our leaders in pretty much every settings are either physicians, non-clinical people, or nurses. we have very few therapists that are in leadership positions, even though all of us have the skills in order to do that, if given the tools that we need to be successful. So our goal is to really promote more therapists into healthcare leadership positions, from frontline leaders all the way to CEOs of large healthcare organizations. So again, we have two six-week courses. One is called Management Essentials, and now it is in a virtual environment. And then we have Advanced Management Concepts that is also in a virtual environment. We've had probably 30 plus volunteers over the course of many years developing the content. We also did a nationwide survey for actually understanding what was needed for leaders in healthcare organizations. So we built the curriculum around what healthcare leaders were telling us was essential for their success in a healthcare setting. So we developed that curriculum based on that nationwide survey. We've had some researchers also help us with developing the content based on some of the evidence-based practice that's out there. Also, we've taken some of our partners, like at the American College of Healthcare Executives and the Nurse Executive Leadership Organization, and we've created some content that is, I'm going to be biased, is probably better than what they can deliver in many respects. And I'll tell you why. I think we can provide a better product in many respects than some other organizations, because we kind of work as a family. So we have this cohort that we started on March 6th, and we're planning to have that cohort of 30 students that started, and we sold out. We had a waiting list of students to get into that class. And we're planning to start with the course and then move forward with mentorship and alumni additional training. So we want to pull those folks in for additional training and learning lifelong. It's not you never get to the point where you're like, I know everything as a healthcare leader, I've got it, I've arrived. No, it doesn't happen. Not until you're retired and you're out of the healthcare arena. So we want to have this cohort of people that are learners, that are continuing to feed off of each other and growing with each other as learners. So that's what we're planning to do. That's better than what the other organizations do. They don't have this cohort of people that just continue to learn and grow with each other. So with Management Essentials, I'll give you just a few of the content that we deliver, and it includes things like performance management, which is working with employees that are engaged, disengaged, and how to work with those individuals. Human resources, time management, organizational behavior and negotiations. One of our big focus areas is around project management and all the skills needed to manage and lead projects in your healthcare systems. And those could be small projects to very, very large projects. We also talk about personal planning and how to really make sure you have a roadmap of where you want to grow and learn as a professional. So that's just a few of the concepts around that course. So we also have one final thing, and that is, once you complete that course, we have developed a credentialing exam. So once you've completed those 2 6-week courses in Management Essentials, Advanced Management Concepts, you can, if you have at least 1 year of leadership experience, you can set for that exam to be a board certified healthcare executive. So that is one of APTA's newest board certifications that is being sponsored by the Academy of Leadership and Innovation, which we just rolled out at CSM back in February. So that's the product for LAMP management, 2 6-week courses, and then an option to sit for board certification as a healthcare executive. And then ongoing learning and growing with an alumni of learners that are leading and managing healthcare organizations. So that's LAMP management. So Heather, I will send it over to you
I
for
will
question.
jump right in and say, our chapter was looking at the possibility of using these courses to develop chapter leaders. How applicable is the material to nonprofit association leadership?
That's a great question, and I'll let Chris chime in as well. Chapter leadership. I can name any of these topics that we project management. I think project is one of the project management, certainly one of those areas that would really lend to that. Finance, time management, also human resources, all of those would lend itself well. Just those contents, either as a group or as individual topics, would lend themselves well for any nonprofit chapter leader in those organizations.
Sure. And then Susan, thank you for the question. As I look, and I'm reading you here in the chat, I think again the LAMP leadership are the focus with it being on what behaviors do leaders display. That was a very intentional choice with the original people who developed the curriculum, and even as we go through curriculum revisions and changes and updates, that's the focus we maintain in the LAMP leadership courses, is that it's developing first, yourself, and developing those behaviors in terms of your communication, your awareness, of your own reactions, and then your communication and your awareness of your reactions with others, and how do you communicate in a mindful way. How do you look at, particularly in 201, we spend a lot of time talking about who makes up your team, what comprises your team, what different skill sets, different mindsets, different personality types do you have on your team. And how do you kind of put aside maybe the own bias you might have because of your own personality type, to be able to put that, have that self-awareness to put that aside and really look at the composition of your team, and who the old saying is, how do you get the right people on the right seats of the bus? And so I think from the leadership, the LAMP leadership end of that continuum, it's specifically designed to be applicable regardless of where or in what setting people are, are looking to develop as leaders. And so, for example, I taught the 201 course at CSM this past last month in Boston. And I think in that 201 course, we had everyone from somebody who was a CEO of a healthcare organization to a new graduate who had literally passed the PT licensure exam, 3 weeks before that. That was the continuum of people that we had, and we had people from nonprofits. We had people, who were from healthcare organizations, people in private practice. So pretty broad continuum, which actually I think ends up being sometimes a strength of the courses, is that the people on the committee, our faculty, are all from different areas like that. We have people in academics, we have people in in frontline care, we have people in healthcare leadership management, private practice, et cetera. So I think that aspect that it's very focused on behaviors versus a very definitive skill set makes it applicable. I think my advice would be, to kind of look at the content of the management curriculum versus the leadership, and see, when you're looking to develop chapter leaders, exactly what is it that you feel you're needing to develop with them? Is it more of those skills, or is it more of that capacity to behave individually as a leader? And that might help you decide which end of that continuum you'd like to look at.
And I will also say that we are going to follow up this webinar with an email that will have more detailed information on how to take the courses, where on the website to find them, and the cost, et cetera, like that. We'll be following up with this email, with an email about that information. So you'll see that coming to your inbox too. Keep an eye out. Any other questions?
You're welcome to come off mute instead of putting
Yep.
it in the
Yep,
chat.
you can jump in. We've got a few minutes left.
Okay, I'll go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Oh, my name's Grace. I'm probably 2 years into practice. My like 5-year, 10-year plan would be more like a rehab clinical educator and quality improvement. Do you have like ideas or suggestions? As I think both tracks would be good. But if anyone has any suggestions, like leadership wise and project management.
Yeah, we do have a whole section on quality improvement and monitoring. Stephen Hunter is one of the faculty. I don't know if you know Stephen. He's written lots of articles and has done a lot of research that's in APTA publications over the years. And he is a quality expert in this arena, and the product that he delivers is phenomenal. I think I gained more information from all of the management stuff that we've developed with LAMP management in the quality area than any of the other areas. So it's phenomenal information. And I think that there's a lot of resources that will help you to even grow even further. So it'll kind of be the starting point.
And Grace, what I would tell you there is I think maybe do a little self-assessment and see where you think maybe your strengths and weaknesses are as a growing leader, right? Project management's perfect example. Nothing that we talk about in LAMP 101 or 201 would give you the actual skill sets of going, okay, if I have this new project I want to do, or I want to get into some quality improvement, like here's how to write appropriate quality improvement goals. Here's how to, to set up an assessment of that. We touch on a little bit of that, but I would think the difference in how we touch on some of those things is in 101 and then especially in 201, anytime you get into project management or anytime you get into performance management, it's another one that Russell talked about. There's a management side of working with those people and working with a team, right? Like there's those technical skills. I've got to know how to do these. I have to know how to do them step by step and how to implement them, right? But then there's also the side of, okay, if I'm going to implement a quality improvement project, usually that involves a change, right? There's something I found that needs improvement, hence the name, right? Okay. At the end of the day in healthcare, right, we're not robots. I've got to work with people to implement that change then. So in 201, for example, we have a managing change, but it's all about how do you approach the individual or the team? How do you approach them and understand that, okay, at first, change, different people are going to respond to change. You're going to have your early adopters, your mid adopters, your late adopters, and some of your people who might even be just, more recalcitrant to that. There's always some emotion that comes with change, be it excitement, be it fear, being trepidation, whatever. And so I think for you, in terms of trying to decide one or the other or both, my advice would be to kind of do a little self-assessment and see, where do you think your strengths are? Do you feel like that interpersonal, even just a couple years into practice here, right? You've been treating patients, right? I always say that change management is what we do every day in PT, right? Getting somebody to do something sometimes they don't want to do, right? In pursuit of an end goal. So we lead our patients, but we manage them too. And so kind of get a feel maybe for where you think maybe your strengths lie. Is it more of that technical skill-based component where you feel like there's a gap? Maybe the management track is appropriate versus is how am I going to get those people to come along with me? Then you might be thinking about LAMP leadership. Of course, we'd love to have you in both if you want to. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Anyone else like to jump in? Nope, it sounds pretty quiet.
Making it easy on us tonight. Okay, it's good.
I think Matt is trying to join.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm not getting my video to go on, am I?
You're on video.
I can see you.
Oh, I am? Okay, I'm just not seeing myself. Well, anyway, this is scheduled to go till 1:30, correct?
Yep.
So being that we're at the 1:30, I'm going to be real quick about it because I'm a big advocate of the LAMP programs. many years ago in Pennsylvania, I took my first LAMP leadership course, 101. I live in Minnesota now, but I took it because I was in middle management in an organization, and I decided rather than just pull out of my rear end how I want to lead, I wanted to see if there's a little more evidence I could learn and become a stronger leader that way. And I learned about LAMP leadership, and it really, I went through LAMP 101, 102, and the 301 course, the certification, and it really helped me out a lot. As a matter of fact, after the 101 course, I said to one of the instructors that I feel like I found a home in this academy here. I also took LAMP management because I wanted to learn tools to help manage the practice a little better. I'm not operational leadership, I'm clinical leadership, but I took some of those operational tools back to the operational team. Long story short, for those of you that don't know me, today I'm president of this academy, APTA Academy of Leadership and Innovation. And I very much look at my professional association development and my career development very tied into the skill sets that I learned through the LAMP programs. Certainly a strong part of it. And then for Sue Griffin, Sue, I will tell you this, there have been several chapters that have engaged LAMP programs, a lot of LAMP leadership, I would say, more than management, to bring along leaders in the chapter. But that's not to say there aren't management skill sets that would be associated with maybe someone in the finance area, operational area of nonprofit. So that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for allowing me 2 extra minutes.
You're very welcome. I want to thank everyone for attending, and we'll be following up with some more specific information. We hope you got the information you needed to help make some choices. Thanks.